the future of our planet. The skyscrapers of downtown New York City stand in 80 feet of water. Its famous subway system submerged.
Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, Miami, they would all be underwater.
Melting ice has flooded the oceans. The Arctic ice cap is long gone. Severe weather relentlessly assaults the planet.
Record heat, record drought, record flooding. This is not a world we want to get into.
Global warming is defined as the gradual increase in the average temperature of Earth's atmosphere and oceans. Over the past 50 years, the temperature has increased at the fastest rate in history. Earth's rising temperatures have created longer and hotter heat waves, more frequent droughts, heavier rainfall, and more powerful hurricanes. These extreme heat waves have caused tens and thousands of deaths. The United States is directly affected and connected to global warming, as the U.S. ranks as the second highest in global warming pollution in the world, with 16% of all global carbon dioxide emissions. The U.S. is also ranked first in cumulative emissions, which affects other countries as well, since they rely on the U.S. for products in their economy.
The concern of global warming prominently rose in 1896 when Svante Arrhenius, a Swedish chemist, claimed that the burning of fossil fuel leads to climate change, which he called the greenhouse effect. He worked with another scientist, Thomas Chamberlain, and believed that human activity can increase carbon dioxide concentration into the air. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases emission increased significantly since the Industrial Revolution. In the 1930s, the U.S. and North Atlantic region warmed tremendously in 50 years. Following Arrhenius' discoveries, scientist J.S. Callendar believed that global warming was an effect due to the increase of carbon dioxide. During the Cold War in the 1950s, many generals began to look into Callendar's claims. Government funding increased because they were worried about weather and seas during the Cold War. Studies did confirm Arrhenius' claims that the buildup of carbon dioxide causes global warming. In the 1960s, Charles David Killing, an American scientist, proved that the level of gas was increasing per year. He tried to figure out ways to gain back previous temperatures by studying fossil shells and pollen. However, many scientists did not feel the need for any action to be taken yet. During the rise of environmentalism in the 1970s, there were concerns of the public about climate change. Study panels, which were first started by the U.S., warned that climate change can pose a severe threat. Temperatures began to rise even more during the 70s and the 80s. Global warming began to become a popular topic in the media as the environmental NGO advocated for it. The press was able to convince people that climate change was happening fast and there are horrible repercussions. Concerns increased even more when the hottest year on record back then, 1988, surpassed. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was created by the United Nations to predict the greenhouse effect. There have been increasing efforts on global warming. Scientists had collected data using ships and satellites and continuously had international meetings to discuss steps that needed to be taken.
Although global warming has been a popular issue for a long time, some people believe that global warming is not an important issue to find a solution to, or is not occurring at all. Many believe that global warming is the least of the world's problems compared to the long-lasting issues related to war, terrorism, disease, poverty, etc. Others believe that global warming is not real. In fact, 35% of people say that there is not solid evidence to prove that global warming is happening, and 17% of people believe that global warming is not happening at all. Additionally, 70% of people believe that global warming should be a priority, and that the United States, as well as other countries, should be developing alternate energy sources like wind, solar, and hydrogen energy.
Global warming is mainly caused by human activities. One of the biggest reasons is greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide. After China, USA releases the most amount of greenhouse gases into the air. America releases over 6 million tons of greenhouse gases, where 81% of it is carbon dioxide. When these gases are released into the air, they trap the heat, causing Earth to become warmer. One way greenhouse gases are released to the air is by burning of fossil fuels such as coal, gas, and oil. Coal is the largest fossil fuel source for carbon dioxide emission. When these fossil fuels are burned, they release energy, which can be in the form of heat, electricity, or power. 40% of carbon emission comes from burning fossil fuels for electricity production. Power plants are the biggest cause of carbon emission in the US, making up about 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emission. Other reasons fossil fuels are burned are for cars, planes, and industries. The second most powerful greenhouse gas is methane. Methane is produced by bacteria where there is no oxygen. This accounts for 9% of the greenhouse gas emission. It increases along with livestock production. Deforestation also causes global warming. Forests help to remove and keep the carbon dioxide from the air. However, when these forests and trees are cut, carbon dioxide is released into the air. The natural causes of global warming are soil respiration, volcanic eruptions, and plant and animal respiration.
As an effect of global warming, glaciers are melting, sea levels are rising, early snowfall is occurring, and drought risk is increasing. These effects could lead to dramatic water shortages and an increased risk in wildfires, especially in the western part of the United States. In addition, rising sea levels will cause more coastal flooding, which will impact Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, and other coastlines in the U.S. Farms, forests, and cities will face new pests, heavy downpours, and heat waves, and the disruption of habitats like coral reefs and the alpine meadows could drive many plants and animals into extinction. Humans will come face to face with these problems in nature, but also with health problems for themselves. Due to global warming, infectious diseases, as well as allergies and asthma, will become more common due to the increased growth of pollen-producing ragweed and the pollution in the air. The humid and hot weather conditions, favorable to mosquitoes, will create even more problems for humans. If the emission of greenhouse gases is not reduced, the rising temperatures and humidity could cause millions of people to suffer from lethal heat stress by the year of 2060. In the northeastern part of the U.S., as many as 30 million people will suffer from heat that could be incredibly dangerous to children, elderly, and the sick, and residents in cities could experience temperatures near the limits of what their bodies can handle.
In 1990, the Clean Air Act was passed to protect human health from the effects from global warming. There have been many solutions and efforts since President Obama came into office. In 2014, US and China agreed to a plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions for over the next 20 years. US planned to reduce their 2005 level, which was previously the warmest year of carbon emission, by around 25% before 2025. They also plan to cut methane emission from landfills, coal mining, agriculture, and oil and gas systems. This is projected to save 180 million cubic feet of gas in 2025, which is enough to provide heat to 2 million homes. The Environmental Protection Agency proposed a plan called the Clean Power Plan, which was released by Obama in 2015. This plan was created to reduce carbon dioxide emission by setting standard power plants and setting goals to reduce global warming.
Climate change is no longer just about the future that we're predicting for our children or our grandchildren. It's about the reality that we're living with every day, right now. The Pentagon says that climate change poses immediate risks to our national security.
States can replace coal plants with alternative energy such as wind and solar. The Clean Power Plan has over 8 million supporters. However, many members of Congress have tried to block this plan. The Clean Power Plan is projected to lead to health benefits by 2030. Under the Clean Air Act, the significant new alternative policy was created by the EPA to identify substances that harm the ozone and human. Many states have been passing laws regarding climate change, such as California, which created laws to reduce the release of greenhouse gases in the coming decades from power plants and factories. States have the option to replace their coal plants with alternative energy such as solar and wind.
Since there are no formal federal laws concerning global warming, there needs to be more incentives on corporations and industries to reduce the amount of greenhouse gas that they produce. There are also simple solutions that citizens can take. Changing light bulbs to LED lights uses 80% less energy than normal light bulbs. Also, there should be more fuel-efficient vehicles like hybrids and fully electric vehicles in order to save fuel and reduce the burning of fossil fuels. Instead of buying an excess amount of food, it is important to only buy the amount of food which can all be consumed. 40% of food produced goes into the landfill. This can reduce the amount of energy which is needed for growing, processing, and packaging food.
Global warming is a serious problem that American citizens need to address and take further steps to reduce the high temperatures. The hottest year in history, 2015, just passed, and if Americans don't work to solve these high temperatures, there will be a scary future for the next generations.